Katzcradul here. I'm working on getting everything ready for the garden that I need to get done. And one of the things I need are ties for my vegetable plants, my fruit trees. I've almost used up what I have, and the best thing I know to use for that are old pantyhose. Now that would seem like a very simple thing, how to cut up a pantyhose, but I cut up a lot of them, and I really have found a very easy way, and I want to share that with you. Now you may say, how do I get pantyhose? Not a lot of women wear pantyhose these days. I am maybe peculiar in that I dress up every day to go to work. I wear a dress every single day. And during the winter it's cold here and I wear pantyhose, and I do wear them out. So I always save them to use to make plant ties with. And I'm going to show you how I can cut them up really fast. And if you don't wear pantyhose, or your wife or girlfriend doesn't wear pantyhose, maybe you can find some little old lady at the church that you can get them from, but they're out there. So the first thing I do is I cut off the waistband, leaving it in a complete circle. And this is what takes the longest part right here. It's just cutting around the waistband. The reason I do that is because that is really a pretty good piece of elastic in there, and these are kind of stretched out, so it's taking me a while. It really is good for bundling things. I just like to have that one piece. So here you go, and that's really pretty good elastic right there, and I just leave that whole. I can use that for something. The next thing I do is I go down and I cut the legs off. Cut it right there. Most pantyhose kind of get dark when you get up to the panty part of it. I just cut those off right there. So now I've got the leg. And then I come down and there's a little seam in the toe, and I cut that off. And you do that to both legs. Cut the toe off. So now you've just got this tube, which was the leg. And then what I do is I run my hand down that tube and I gather it up. And then what I do is I just cut it like that. So now I've got this flat piece of leg. And what I do is I fold it in half, fold it in half, fold it in half. And then as you do that, you're going to snip both ends because those are going to be uneven. You snip those. And just get rid of that. And then all you do is you cut it into about 1-inch tubes. And I do it this way because it makes a longer tie than if you just cut the rings straight across the leg as they come. So there we go. And here's what it looks like. It gives you a really long tie when you do it this way. If you want shorter ties, you can roll it the other way. So here we go. Here's where I've cut it off the panty, and then I'm going to cut the toe off. That's the seam at the toe. This tripod is not the most stable thing. Okay, so here we go. Here's the other leg. Here's the tube. See, I could run my hand down the tube here. See, here's the hole. I wear my pantyhose till they can't be worn anymore. Okay, here we go. Just gather it up in the tube like you would to get to the toe of your sock when you're putting on your sports socks or regular socks. Cut it. Open it up. I just kind of shake it out. And then you just roll it up. This allows you to cut it very quickly. Cut off both ends because you've got some hanging over. Throw those away. And then once again, in 1-inch strips. I've cut up so many pantyhose and it's taken me a long time to cut them up, but this is just so easy. And here I go, I've got a long tie. Because if you cut them the other way, you end up with a little bitty tie, and you're spending all your time trying to catch that little tie. Now I've got a big tie. Then what you can do, if you want to, is come down. Most pantyhose have a seam in front and a seam in back. And all I really do is just cut that seam out. Mine have a seam in the front and 2 seams in the back. that out. Cut the seam out. You don't really have to. And if you want to cut the panty part out, you can as well. I do that because it's a different material. I buy some kind of expensive hose, so they really are pretty nice. And then, now all I'm going to do is cut the 2 seams out in the back. There's 1 seam gone. And see, here's another seam. I'm going to cut that out. There we go. So it had 1 seam in the front and 2 in the back, and I've just cut the seam out. You can see that. And then so now I'm left with 3 sections. I just lay them on top of each other like this. Same thing, roll them up jelly roll fashion. And these are really pretty uneven, so I cut a nice wide swath at the bottom, nice one at the top. Get rid of both of those. And then here we go, straight across. And that will have made a lot of ties. Here we go. You just undo them. There we go. A nice tie. I hope you can see how long that is. And I've got a lot of ties here. I'm guessing probably 60. And then all I do is put them in a, aren't these great? And all I do is just put them in a Ziploc bag, and I can tie them on my belt or put them in my, grab a handful of them and put them in my pocket as I work around the garden and tie anything up. And really, I've got this down to where I can cut up a pair of pantyhose in less than a minute, get it all done. Before I was painstakingly cutting every single little strip, and that was ridiculous. I knew there had to be a better way. So I hope you can, oh, here's a seam that didn't get thrown away. I'm going to throw that away. So you end up with all these ties and one really nice stretchy band that you can, it's really strong and you can use for something. I hope this helps you. Don't throw away your pantyhose. They're great to use in the garden. Cat's Cradle.